Now when we make what I call a very tight bud, all right, this would be a bud that you'd use like at the end of a spray or in a bouquet. So this is a very tight bud. What you actually do is you create a version of the same as the rose cone. So this is my number 10 small, so I'm just going to condition this with a little bit of vegetable shortening white fat. And just going to make that into a ball here. So we're going to take your floral tape bud. So this is the 20 gauge wire, the 10 times hook times 15. So a little bit of egg white onto here. Then put that back into my wet cloth here. Going to just push the floral tape bud into there. Use just a little cornstarch on my fingers. Just going to pinch this around the bottom here, like so. So you see how you're just going to just mold this around the bottom. Just like if you were making, say, a bud for a cherry blossom or flower like that. This wants to be fairly, you're just going to make it into a basic cone shape, all right? And then the mold is going to help us establish the perfect shape. A little cornstarch is just dusted onto there. And then we're going to put it into the mold creator. I'm just going to rotate this around, all right? So in the actual mold creator, and see what that's going to do, that's going to actually get rid of the, you see how the excess paste it doesn't need, all right, is going to just come to one side there. So you can just trim that off with your, so if you're a little bit sort of like off size wise, this will actually sort of create, as I said, a perfect cone here. So you're just going to just rotate this into the cone maker here. All right, so this is going to just create your cone, and you see how your excess paste is just going to come to the bottom. Okay, so you're just going to just trim this off. So really, as I said, this is just standardizing your cone. All right, so you see how your cone will just go into the mold and just rotate around in the mold like that. So now what we're going to do is going to use just a little cornstarch on your fingers, and we're going to pinch the end of this. So we're going to create what I refer to when I teach this as like a fish's tail. All right, so you're just going to actually just pinch this with your thumb and first finger. So you're going to create, so it looks a little bit like a little fishtail. And then what we're going to do is going to take the vayner. It doesn't matter which side of the vayner you use for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this onto the vayner. And just, you see how I've obviously got this little angle, a little bit like, obviously like a vacuum cleaner. And I'm going to take a cosmetic sponge, and I'm just going to press. So we only need to vein one side of this, but I'm just going to press this on one of the 5 petals. So think of this like a little fish's tail. We're going to take the right hand side of the fish's tail, and now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tuck that and I'm going to bring that into the center of the rose, you can see here, and then you're going to take the left hand side of the fish's tail and you're going to wrap this around, you see. So what you're actually doing is you're creating the fish's tail is going to form this beautiful spiral. So what this does, this eliminates a step. Right? We could obviously start off with a cone and put a petal on it, but the fish's tail and cone all become one. So that is why when you do this, you need to make your cone and straight away make your fish's tail. And then just use a little bit of egg white just to secure the end of this. So just where the very end of that is, you're just going to secure that with your little bit of egg white. All right. So this makes the center of the tight bud. So now I'm going to take some paste. So remember, I'm showing you in this video, I'm showing you the medium-sized rose, which is made with the medium cone mold and the 90 centimeter or 9 centimeter, 90 millimeter cutter. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my pink. So remember, this is the Renshaw pink gum paste with white added. So this makes this really nice soft pink color. I won't need a huge amount for this first part. And going to condition this. So just like in some of the previous segments, I'm going to take just a little bit of vegetable shortening of fat and just work a little bit of that into it. And I'm going to take, which I discussed in some of my other video segments, I'm going to take some egg white. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to add a little bit of egg white. And remember, the Renshaw product, the petal paste and flower modeling paste, are both vegan. Now we're adding egg white to it. Of course, it doesn't stay vegan. But the thing is, the egg white, what it's going to do is going to give a lot more elasticity to the paste, okay? And so especially for roses, this is really beneficial in the way it gives you more working time and gives your paste more elasticity and malleability, okay? So then we're going to then roll this out. So a little bit of cornstarch down. Gonna roll this out just a little bit, and just like I showed in the using the multi-leaf vayner, I'm going to use my pasta attachment, And I'm just going to roll out just a small amount. So I'm going to roll this paste out fairly thin to start off with. And then I'm going to set the pasta machine is set on number 6. Alright, so this is set on number 6 thickness. And just going to go through. Just make sure your paste is not sticky. So if it feels a little sticky, just put a little bit of corn flour, cornstarch to it. And then we're going to just feed that through the pasta machine. Alright, so this is going to roll out your paste. So you can see this paste is nice and thin. You can sort of read through it. Alright, so taking my cutter here, just going to take my cutter, just going to press on the top, go around in a circular movement, and I'm working on a slightly textured surface. Alright, this is like a little rolling board, so it means when you cut, you're going to get a clean cut from your plastic cutters. Because generally plastic cutters don't have such a strong or a sharp cutting edge as metal, so I normally use a slightly textured mat. Now, I'm going to take, you can either use like a little mini knife like this, if you have something like a cutting wheel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually remove 2 petals from here. So this actually means you have enough here for 2.5 rosebuds, okay? And then we're going to take the vayner here. Now here, for what we're doing here, we don't need to worry about the numbers or anything on here. We're just going to put these into, but this also shows you if you were doing, say, sweet peas, like you could line up 5 sweet pea inside petals, 5 sweet outside petals. We don't need to really worry, as I said, be concerned about the layering or where the numbers are in this position, because these are just going to be 2 individual ones. So you're going to put the top on this. Generally what I want to do is just sort of press over the surface evenly. So there's several things you can do here. You can use just a cake board, alright, so you can just take a cake board, just press that, because then it distributes the weight on the top of this. You could also use a fondant or sugar paste smoother. You can use, this is a little press, you know, so basically just something to press the vayner. It just helps to distribute the weight evenly over the surface. So I'm going to take this out. There isn't a front and back. These are both veined the same way, so it doesn't really, you don't have to worry about a front and back here, but you see what this is going to do is going to vein both sides of the petals. But you can see how, for example, if you were doing a sweet pea, this would be beautiful. And then you're going to just take the petal off of here. Alright, and you're going to just actually turn this over onto the back. Now you can use traditional method of using a foam pad, but this has been designed that you actually can soften on the silicone. So when I actually do the rose, you'll see it really eliminates a lot of processes. So we're going to use a large balling tool here, and I'm just going to just soften just slightly, just on the very, very tip of this with my ball tool. Think of an eraser on a pencil. We would do this half on the paste and half off the paste. Now, of course, where you've softened, alright, when you've softened here, that's going to eliminate the veining slightly. So that is what we will be the inside. So then when we attach this, we want the heavy veining on the outside, because you see the veining comes all the way to the end, alright? So just soften them, leave them on your pad here. We're then going to take my egg white, and with my egg white, I'm going to brush my egg white all the way around the base of the rose cone up to the bottom of where the little like fish's tail starts, and you can see where the fish's tail finishes. So if my thumb is my petal, where my fish's tail finishes, which is going to be sort of right here, alright, you can see here, that's where my first petal will be attached, okay? And so you're going to take your petals, so remember this is the side I softened, alright, so you've lost the veining a little bit on that top edge, so you want the heavy vein side out, and so what you do is you attach that where the fish's tail finishes, alright, and you're going to attach that around, and you're going to bring this around like this, so it's going to be level with the top of the center, okay? And you're going to just leave this side unflapped, and then once you've got this side unflapped, then you're going to then take the second one, and you're going to tuck this inside, okay? So what you're doing is you're creating like a yin and a yang, so you see this one will go inside this one, and this one will come on top here, like so, okay? And so you're going to get that beautiful formation. And then you're just going to mold your paste down, and then take a little bit of egg white, alright, so just a little bit of egg white is going to just go on that inside seam. Now remember, this is a tight bud, so that's basically what we want to make, is a tight bud. So we don't want to really this flower to open up. And you're just going to bring your excess paste down, alright, and then you can just use a pair of scissors, and then because your petal is going to be usually a little bit longer than you need, you're just going to trim off your excess paste with your scissors here, and then just use a little bit of corn flour, cornstarch, just mold it around. Now just be a little careful, don't be too rough here, because Obviously this is a soft cone, so we don't want to push this off the wire. So you're just going to mold this around, and you see how this is going to give you this sort of beautiful center for the rose. So of course when this is finished, this is going to have color on there and the calyx, and that will really finish it off, okay? But this is just the basics of the rose. So that is what we call our tight bud.